I'm going to take a minute and invite my friend Dan to come on up here. And some of you might know him. He's around the building quite often. He actually works here, so that'd be one of the ways you might know him. But Dan, you've been coming here for a long time, so maybe you should tell some of these people who you actually are. Yeah.
Who I actually am. I've been here, as Steph said, my name's Dan, just to let you know.
What did I call you?
No.
I called you Dan? Okay.
You did call me Dan.
Okay,
I've known that for almost 20 years now. I've been going to this church for 20 years. Sat in the balcony up there with my dad. Recently married, so if you're looking for marriage advice, one-stop shop right here.
Was it 4 months now?
4 months in. So if you're looking for the naive, very, new to the game advice, yeah, right here. But in all seriousness, yeah, I've been going to this church for quite some time. Went to university, 6 years of my life. Worked at Starbucks. After school was done, I got a sweet job in marketing, doing project managing. It was about 5 years I was there, and then I landed at a nonprofit for a couple of years, which revolutionized my life, kind of put me in my place. And now I'm here. It's quite a turn. As you've been talking about stories and narratives, I could not have pieced this together, so here I am.
That's awesome. So maybe we'll talk a bit about what God's story he's been writing in your life and how that's been happening in a second, especially in your 20s. I love that part of your story. And I've been able to know you for a long time, so it's pretty special. But I just want to celebrate Dan and your leadership and our team. In the last year, you've been tackling some really tough questions. And if you've been journeying with us as a church, you know that what the questions that we're facing for this generation that's growing up right now are very different than the questions we were answering even a decade or more ago. I don't think this generation has ever had the same kind of questions. And you've been leading into that with hope and not despair or oh no. Yeah. So what's your vision? What is the hope that you're carrying for this next generation?
And it's quite the responsibility. It's neat because I head the team. It's called NextGen. It's from birth to 29. So you've met Stephanie, who works with Valerie with our kids. You'll meet Pastor Richard, who works with our youth, our junior high and senior high, and I work with the young adults directly. And yes, so what we love is the synergy between the groups. Everything is connected. We're thinking about if you've got a child, if you know somebody, anywhere from birth to 29, we feel in those moments there is so much formation going on. I know from personal experience, I know you as parents, or even if a youth, young adult, if you're sitting here, you know there's a lot going on. And so we believe investing in those moments, in those transition moments when you're growing up, not losing a beat here. But we even believe, I've only been here for 20 years. I don't suspect that people might be here from birth to 29. That's a rare case. But we believe what we do in those moments translate to when you grow up. It's proven in my life, proven in my buddy here, Matt. And we really have a heart for that we're partnering with parents, with kids, for kids to create a safe place that's fun and exciting and learning about Jesus. For our youth, a non-judgmental, you can table your questions, things that, when I was growing up, were kind of swept under the rug. You didn't really talk about much. And young adults, especially, the most, I think, analytical and naive, and I can say that because I was a young adult, so don't yell at me. But a chance where you're really forming your ideas about church, your identity, with so much going on.
Yeah. Okay, so Dan, you talked a little bit about it. I said we'd come back to it. What was young adult years like for you? Like, I think that's a really important part, and it even ties into how you're leading this group.
Scary thing is, but most exciting thing, it's not the most unique story. I did say I've been here for 20 years. I was here in my 20s, but not really here. I appeased my dad and showed up with him. I'd rather have just been at home hanging out with my friends or doing something different. So that's the honest truth. And what brought me back, young adults, I think the landscape is different, but a lot of the root problems are the same. The anxiety, the pressures of, and I say society, and what I mean by that is from family, from culture, from education, from the pressures to get education that's so advanced that there's so much competition, housing prices, all these layers that affect young adults. I can resonate with that, and I can feel with it. So young adults, if you're here, I get it. And what was neat about my journey is this, again, he comes into the picture. In my late 20s, I said to myself, wow, life is all about me. That's very narcissistic is probably the word that I could use. Life seemed to be always about me, and it was dictated by culture. It says, focus on yourself, think about yourself. But God flipped that around and said, you know what, there are other people that matter as well. And that really resonated with me, and in a practical sense with the church context. He invited me back to play music, and it was a very simple onboarding process. I just got in. He's like, hey, you sure you want to play music? I'm like, yeah, I think I'm ready for it. And it was a great way to find community. So if you're a young adult here, I know I'm rambling, but personal invite. Check us out. We meet Sunday nights, great group. What I missed in my young adults was that connectivity with the church. It didn't mean that I was just secluded here, but I missed that part where I could make a difference. Because I believe in young adults. I believe the next best ideas are coming from them. It's not coming from me. And we want to give you a platform to show those gifts, those ideas, because I think those are the ones that are going to lead us into the next season with this church.
That's awesome. So I think that your heart might be stirred at this moment, or maybe you've been thinking about this throughout the season with us, and there's been moments where you've thought, wow, like I think the challenge is big, and maybe there's hope, and man, I'm glad you're on it. But maybe there's another tug on your heart today that says, maybe I could be a part of it. Maybe there's a chance for me to chip in. What would you say to us if we're feeling a little bit of that?
And this is for anybody. And again, I love numbers. This is just one story. But when I say get involved, I think if you've been here for a while, if you've just joined us, that's great too. Even if you've been volunteering with us, there's something about taking a new step of ownership and saying, hey, this is my group, this is my church, and getting involved is amazing. You might not think you have the skill set. I'm going to take one example, kids. I love kids. I'm not the best to be the one to teach them and keep them engaging. I have a very resting, just somber face. I'm not that exciting when it comes to like getting kids riled up, but I worked at Starbucks for 6 years, so I love being a greeter, just welcoming kids, welcoming families, making this place such a safe environment, and an environment that a parent is confident to release their kids with us. So visit onechurch.to/serve. Great place to get started. If you don't know, we'll find a place for you. If kids are not a fit, we'll find something for you.
So there you go. Dan makes a mean coffee.
I do make a mean coffee.
And he's a great guy, and he's someone you want to connect with if you're a young adult.
Awesome.
Can we thank Dan for being here?